Hi everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to be presenting some of the new features and mostly highlighting Flosum AI capabilities that are available with Spring 25. I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Dennis Dornbos. I'm the Director of Product Development here at Flosum. We're going to walk through the Flosum AI features. I'm going to demo those for you in my demo org. We're going to talk about some of the new features available in Spring 25. In the second half of the presentation, we're going to talk about Flosum's backup and archive, new UX. Up until now, it hasn't been available to demo, but I'm going to jump into backup and archive and demo that for you. And then we're going to save some time at the end today for questions and answers. So some of the features we're announcing, AI features, we're going to talk about error code analysis, document generation, and code analysis. We'll be discussing the new UI and some of the new features, including compare and restore. And then we're going to just highlight a couple of the new features that are available in Spring 25, including API 63 support for those new components. And just to highlight, Flosum isn't just a DevOps tool. We're a complete DevSecOps platform. Obviously, DevOps for your DevOps and CI/CD. We have back data management and backup with our backup and archive tool. It does both archiving, restoring, and backing up of data. And then we also have Trust Center, which is our security offering. It's an extension package to Flosum DevOps, and it allows you to connect all of your setup information inside of Flosum without having to log into orgs for analysis. So the entirety of your DevSecOps process for your Salesforce implementations can be supported with Flosum. So I just want to talk briefly about what we're going to demo, and then why we built it on Agentforce, and then I'll go jump into a demo. So for today, we have 3 different AI powered agents that we're going to demo, and a 4th one is in the process. But for the first one, we do code documentation. We use AI generated code documentation. We'll cover what it does and how it does it. We have a security analyst agent that scans your Apex code for performance, security, best practices, and code smells. And then I'm also going to demonstrate our deployment analyzer. This analyzes deployment errors that you might receive without having to kind of, whether you know them automatically or have to look them up or find the resolution. The deployment analyzer is going to help you do that analysis directly inside of Flosum. And why that Flosum agents stand out, it's 100% native to Salesforce. It's using AI, it's using the Salesforce Agentforce technology, including prompt builder, but it's all within Salesforce's secure environments, and it's fully compliant with their zero trust model. And also, once Agentforce is enabled in your Salesforce org, you can also extend it. We're not sending your data to any other large language models on our own. This is, again, using the kind of Agentforce technology. And just kind of, if you're not familiar with the Agentforce architecture, it's all built on the Salesforce platform. So you have your customizations, custom apps. This is where Flosum lives. It's a custom application. Your data is still stored inside of Salesforce. You have it built on top of the Sales Cloud platform. And then on top of all of that are the Agentforce capabilities. And we're primarily using Agentforce's prompt builder to surface up some of these AI-driven insights. So let me go ahead and give you a demo of this. So I'm in a branch, and the first one I'm going to demo today is our deployment analysis tool, where you can find errors. So you can see here I have a failed deployment. I've kicked off this deployment. These are not errors that were caught in pre-deploy fix. Not every error can be caught in pre-deploy fix. So if you're using pre-deploy fix, this isn't a replacement for that. This is in addition to. So I had a failed error. You can click on your deployment record. Once it launches this, you'll see we have a new Lightning Web component built on the page. So below today, you can see your failed deployment. Below that, you can see any of the deployment success or failure logs. And you would have to go through each one of these individually and see what they mean, figure out what they mean, and then come up with a resolution. With the AI features that we built for Spring 25, you can just click on Analyze, and it will kick off a deployment. It's going to take this actual error log, put it into the Atlas reasoning engine, and using ChatGPT Turbo 4, we're going to go ahead and surface up some results. This one has a ton of errors, so it takes some time. But for the demo, when you come back, you'll see a kind of this is what you'll see as part of the AI tool. So first of all, it's going to list out all of the different errors that it found. It'll give you a name of the component and the type of component that's causing this error. It'll give you an issue summary. If you if it's occurring in multiple places, it'll say multiple lines and columns. If it's specific to lines 9 through 11, it'll tell you that as well. Then it'll give you an explanation of why it's an error and what it's happening to cause this error, and it will give you steps to resolve. Along with the explanation and steps to resolve, it will also show you links to reference documentation that can help you solve that error. So if you have different issues, you're not understanding quite what is happening there, you can click on the link and it'll take you to documentation to help you solve that error. So again, just to recap why this is important, if you happen to be on your metadata log and your deployment has failed, you no longer have to go through each one of the errors and find out the solution for it and what the cause of it is. You can just run your deployment analysis, error analysis, and it will again provide you these results. The next AI feature I want to demo is component error analysis. So on a branch, you go in any of one of your branches, this works on Apex components. So in your manifest, if you see Apex classes, Apex pages, triggers, and components, if you click on one of them, you will be brought to the component screen. You're going to see 2 new quick actions available. Your AI security analyst, this one will do both security, performance, and best practice analysis, and then AI code documentation will generate code. And right now I'm going to jump in and demonstrate the AI security analyst. So again, this is on the component record. Click on your AI analyst. Where this could be used during by a developer in a feature branch to scan their own code before it's being sent for peer review or smart merge. And it can also be used during the peer review process. If you're the person responsible for reviewing code and approving code or merging code, you can run this to make sure that there are no issues found. You can see here that we found one best practice violation and 1 code smell. You can see here that what we'll do is actually give you detailed findings of each one of these. Again, it's very similar. We have a description of what is happening here. We have a hard-coded value that's happening in lines 9 through 12, and then it'll give you a snippet of the code where this is actually being referenced. And then again, we can give you a recommendation, remove or store these values. And this is an example, this is a hard-coded value in a method instead of using a custom setting or making this a parameter. So again, it gives you options to take to documentation as well. So after going through all those, there's a recommendation summary. If there were critical priorities defined, it would show those here. It will give you some quick fixes and then long-term improvements. Code smells are things that will add to technical debt, not necessarily a best practice, but could be improved and enforced. So again, that is the first one of the component-based features. That's the AI security analyst, and it does performance, security, and best practices for your components. The last feature I'm going to demonstrate out of our new AI components are the AI code documentation tool. I'm going to go ahead and click on this while I kind of discuss what it does. Why is this important? Sometimes you inherit code that has no documentation or sparse documentation or hasn't been updated. And maybe you have never seen this class before, and it has thousands of lines, dozens of methods. And what this will do is it uses AI to look at your code and not only create a description of the class, but also tells you what that class will do as a description, and then it'll give you method level, line level summaries as well in the comments. This is version 1. Version 2, you'll be able to update your code directly from here. This is more for reading and annotating. You can copy and paste and update your code. But again, it's great for code you haven't seen. If you're not sure what this method does, it'll tell you, such as here, as it checks for the lead state is blank or longer than 2 characters. This method determines the task priority based on that lead state. And then again, it will do a summary of all of the methods in the class that it's found. So super helpful. If you haven't seen a class before, your class has thousands of lines, dozens of methods, or if you yourself haven't written any documentation for your code, you can also use this to add your own comments for it. So those are the three. The three new AI features available. Please reach out to your CSM if you're interested in another demo, um, or if you're interested in learning how to deploy those. We're going to go with a quick poll question. I would like to know how have you implemented AI in your org? So are you using Agentforce? Have you built a custom AI solution? Are you using a third party or a different vendor with an AI solution? Or maybe you haven't implemented AI at all in production. A second for that. Great. A sec. We've got a few people using Agentforce, some people using a third party vendor, and just a few people have built their own custom solution. Great. Thanks. So next, I'd just like to move on. We're going to talk about some of the additional features available with Spring 25. Just kind of talking about Agentforce and Data Cloud. Flosum DevOps supports all available Agentforce and Data Cloud objects that are included in the Salesforce metadata API. Not all Data Cloud and Agentforce objects can be created using the metadata API, but not all of those custom objects can be updated using the metadata API. But any of them that can be updated or created using the metadata API are supported in Flosum DevOps. And there are also some custom objects for Agentforce and Data Cloud that are using data as configuration. And for those, we've also updated Data Migrator, our data migration tool, to support those as well. So if you're doing Agentforce or Data Cloud configurations that require you to move those configs, you can use Agentforce. Excuse me, you can use Data Migrator to migrate those configurations, and you can use DevOps to migrate any of those metadata records that can be migrated. For Velocity users, we've added a retrieval of dependencies feature. You can, if you're using Velocity, you can do a Velocity snapshot. You can choose selective retrieval. You don't have to choose all of your data raptors or OmniScripts. You can choose just the components that you want. And then you can also choose to any of the dependencies that are generated by those components. So you no longer need to know exactly which components you need to select. You can use selective retrieval and then check the box for view dependencies. For anyone using our Jira integration and our Git sync integrations, we've added a new Git commit feature for Jira users. If you have a tagged Jira story, it will your Git commit will now contain Jira details as well. So if you have your brand, it'll take your previously it was the user and time of your Git sync commit was the commit message. Now you can enable it for more detailed messages to use your branch name, branch description, and then it will also still continue to add who did the commit and the time of the commit. So it's really important, and this is the primary use case for this is if you have in your Git environment, if you have integrations that are required to update Jira, this will allow you to continue to have your Jira information flow from Flosum back into Git, and then it will be able to kick off your Jira scans based on that in Git. Two usability options we've added also in Spring 25 are the ability to cancel deployments and snapshots from within Flosum. Previously, if you wanted to cancel an in-progress deployment, you'd have to go to the target org, go to the deployment record, and then click on the option to cancel there. You can now cancel it directly in Flosum, and you can also cancel a snapshot in Flosum as well. Use cases for snapshots, if say you have a very large org and you accidentally kicked off a 0-day snapshot to include and haven't specified any components, and you want to stop that 0-day snapshot, you can cancel that without having to wait for that job to finish. And then again, deployments, it might be stacked up, or if you want to, a long running deployment and it's going to fail or something, you no longer have to navigate. And sometimes you don't have access to prod to move in to do that deployment. So you can do both of those actions directly from Flosum. I will call out to cancel a snapshot. It needs to be in progress as well. So if it's already completed, we can't cancel it. And then we also added support for public groups to our domain feature. Public groups allow you to add sharing for repositories, orgs, and pipelines without having to add individual users. And you can also add users to public groups during your initial user creation. You can add them directly to that public group. But I'm going to just kind of do a quick demo of that in my demo org as well. So inside of Flosum, if you go to your settings tab, if you're not familiar with the domains feature, it's available here. You can enable it. You can create a variety of domains, as many, and if you primarily along business units. In his case, I have sales CRM, and I have a B2C commerce unit. And then you can add individual users. You could have always added individual users, but we've added the ability to add public groups. So you can see here, I'm going to add my release manager's public group, and I have my developers public group. Then all you need to define is which repositories that you support. You might have one, you might have many. You can also share your organizations, and this is so if you have even separate probably projects, if you have different devs and different production units you support, you can add those here as well. And then you can add any of the pipelines that are also available if they're associated to one of these repos. So then new for Spring 25 is the ability to add a public group. And then lastly, obviously we're adding API 63 support for Spring 25. Any of the components that have been released by Salesforce and are now supported in Spring 25 are available in the Flosum as well. Just another poll question here related to our support for Agentforce and Data Cloud. Have you enabled, or are you planning to enable Agentforce in Data Cloud, and how important is that support to you? So kind of some of the options here are yes, you've already enabled it. No, but you're planning to in the next quarter. No, but you're maybe planning in the second half of 2025, or there's no plans at this time. It's kind of chopping off. So about half have no plans at this time, and it looks like here and there between a little kind of almost an even split between the next few months and the rest of the year. Great. We're going to move on to the backup and archive demo. We've been talking about the new UI. We officially announced the new UI launch back in October during the winter 25 release, but it's an entirely new UI. We've also added a compare and restore feature. And then I'll discuss some of the other features available too, including permitted IPs, audit trails, and scheduled template backups after that. One of the things you're going to notice most about the new UI is the analytics. It was a strong focus on making sure that the analytics gave you insight and value into insight into your not only your backup information, but the information contained inside of your Salesforce org. So not how much you're backing up or how things change, but really being able to look at the data inside of your Salesforce org directly inside of Flosum Backup and Archive. So I'm going to jump into Flosum Backup and Archive and kind of show you some of these pieces. If you were using the older version of Flosum Backup and Archive, you'll notice that we have an expanded left nav. You can collapse this if you need more working space, but we've split it up into two sections. You have a home section, which is home and insights and audit and setup trails for your entire application. And then below it, you have a separate section for each individual connection. I only have my demo org connected, but to activate make these active, you select an org and you'll see that the left-hand nav is now responsive to the org I've selected. We've also added enhanced breadcrumbs across the top. We have also added a night mode or a dark mode for this in case you don't want to kind of see the white background of day mode. So I'm gonna flip back over to this, but I see a click on my Flosum demo. We've added some new tabs easily to navigate through here. You can see if you want to check out analytics, if you want to start a backup or schedule a backup, start a restore, and you can also search and purge for different records. What I wanted to call out though was, firstly, we have some org specific analytics. So if I click on my analytics tab, you can see this kind of performance. It'll tell you when a backup was, if you did a restore, if you did a search or purge some data. It'll tell you when my last backup happened. You can see mine happened yesterday at noon. This is on your performance tab. You flip over to the Salesforce tab. You can see growth trends. So you can see this will help you identify if there's some unintended data being pushed into your Salesforce production instance. And we also have a cool Sankey chart here on where records flow in. And then you can actually switch. I'm going to switch to say the last year, but you can see we have options for the last year, last month, last quarter, last week. This is a great visualization. It breaks it first down by standard objects, custom objects. Then it will go through and give you a breakdown of each one of those records and what kind of object they are. And then you can see whether it was added, deleted, or changed. So it's a really cool way to look at your data outside of Salesforce, not using Salesforce reports, but using Flosum backup and archive to tell you what kind of data it is that you have. Also, you can look at the different storage. So you can see here, this is the size. I've got mostly attachments, mostly standard objects, and a few custom objects. And then you can also change this to show the number of records, and it'll break it down and sort it a little differently. So now we've got standard objects and custom objects over here, and it'll tell you, you can see graphically which one of your largest data sources coming into Flosum. I want to talk next about our restore function. This is also new with this new UI and part of Flosum backup and archive. For restore, you're just going to go in and create a restore. You can restore backed up records or archival records, and you're going to go in and create a job is what we'll do. So you can click. You're going to look for a couple different things. You're going to want to select your compromised backup first, and then click next. Then you're going to want to find out when your data has been corrected, or that corruption is no longer happening. So it'll be kind of your fast restore. That helps us determine which records you'll actually restore on your own, which records will actually be restored. So I'm going to just select this next point and do next. And then I'm going to add objects. You don't need to do all of your restores. You can add count objects, whatever objects you need to restore will be available here. Once you actually save this job and run it, for this part of this demo, I'm just going to choose account and account contact. You can add filters. Maybe the corruption event only impacted certain records. You don't need to restore every account record. You can restore those that were just impacted during either a corruption event, a data migration, or whatever reason caused you to need to restore here. And then just click on next. You can choose what fields. You don't have to do a whole record restore. You can also just choose fields that you want to restore. Once you save this, it'll tee up the job. Once the job is available and it's pulled in that data, you'll be able to choose the compare part of compare and restore, and you'll be able to select, you'll be able to see that data before you go ahead and restore it. So again, new for this UI as well. We've also added audit trails. If you have governance around your backup and archive solution, and you need to provide audit records to your auditors on who did what and when, who is logged in here, who's done a delete, who's created a backup, who's created a template. All of those details are part of audit trails. You can find that through setup and audits, click on audit trails, and then click on export. You can also choose components and identify different users as well. So that's the Flosum backup and archive new UI updates. Just one quick backup, one quick question before we move on. Oh, actually, I'd like to just announce a couple other features I didn't show. I did show audit trails, so you can find those. But if you also need to add permitted IPs, if you have a restriction, so say you only want access to backup and archive to happen from IPs that you own, so from inside of your infrastructure, you can restrict IPs very similar to what you can in Salesforce. And then you can also now do scheduled templated backup for automating backups and as well. So you can have a scheduled template, which is new. And then lastly, I'm not going to actually demo this today, but we're just announcing this today. There is now a Time Machine Lightning web component will be available shortly. This will allow users of Flosum backup and archive to see that backed up and archive data directly in their Salesforce production org. It'll have two different features that you can select, and you can either search records in a backup application, or you can add a related list in a related list on a record itself. Look up your backup data. It will show you the different versions that you've backed up, and it will allow you to choose one, and then go ahead and restore that data back into your archive. So right back into your production org. You no longer, if you have the rights, you no longer need to have a go into backup and do the restore there. That is an option. Any job created from the Time Machine Lightning web component will be shown in the backup and archive jobs list inside of backup and archive. So just one last poll question. When was the last time you had to recover data, or have you had to recover data? So if you had to do that within the last 3 months, the last 6 months, in the last year, and maybe you've never had to recover data. It could be a separate team, or even one of your integration teams that do those data pieces. But this is about if you've ever had a data incident and need to recover that. Looks like just roughly about half people have never had to recover data. And then that's all we have today to show. So just to kind of recap, we're launching our AI features. We've got some public groups for domains and some other features available for Spring 25, and the new UI UX for backup and archive is available. Don, do we have any questions, or have anything been coming in? I haven't been watching the chat, but
yeah, we've been monitoring questions as they've been coming in along the way. So I think those have been answered directly in the Q&A window. So if we go back, we did have a couple. So one, Dennis, maybe a quick question here. How does the auto commenting tool work with existing classes with existing comments?
It doesn't overwrite an existing comment. It would add an additional comment. If there's an existing comment on that method, it will not add a new comment to it. It looks for uncommented methods, so it will not overwrite your comments.
Awesome. Thanks, Dennis.
Any other questions, Don?
And there's one question that just came in as well around when is the rollout for the release? So we provide our rollout over a 3-week period. That 3-week period will be on the days of March 22nd, March 29th, and April 5th. Emails for the first rollout, the March 22nd rollout, were initiated on Friday of last week and will continue. Customers that are in the March 29th cohort or group, those emails will start this coming Friday. And for customers in April 5th, those emails will come out, begin to be sent next Friday. So you should see a string of 3 emails starting 2 weeks before your intended upgrade date. But March 22nd, March 29th, and April 5th is the planned rollout dates. If you have any questions at all on that schedule, where you're at in that schedule, challenges you might have, maybe due to a large release or such that you need to review, please get hold of your customer success manager and we will work with you through that or answer any other questions you have.
Any other questions, Don?
Just monitoring. Yeah, Dennis, maybe there's just an anonymous one here. Any licensing or costs associated with the AI features shown today?
So for the current time being, there is no cost associated with it. That might change in the future. But right now there is currently no cost. There is a not all of Agent Force components are packageable. Future state, it will be an extension package to the DevOps managed package. Currently it's a deployment and it can be configured in your org, but there are currently no costs associated with it, but that could change in the future.
Thank you. And with that, I am not seeing any further questions, Dennis.
Great. Before we close out, I want to remind everyone we've got weekly customer success webinars and office hours happening listed here. If you want to register, you can register for those at success.flosum.com. And thank you everyone for your time today. Appreciate it. Thank you.